guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, please do me a favor, subscribe, like the video, and we'll continue to make interesting videos. So today, we'll talk about the housing situation and how it's harder and harder for people, and especially young people, starting their lives to afford housing. So wages have generally failed to keep up with the rising cost of living for the typical American or European worker over the past several decades, resulting in stagnant or reduced purchasing power. And I think this comes as no surprise to everyone. And while productivity increased by over 70% from 1973 to 2013, hourly compensation for most workers grew only by 9%, creating a persistent wide gap between output and pay. So, a huge difference between 74% in productivity and only 9% in hourly compensation adjusted to inflation. So let's discuss it. If you take a look at an interesting article from a Statista written by data journalist Anna Fleck, she mentions that the US house prices are up 29% since 2019. So about 6 years, 5 to 6 years, let's say. And the article is from 2025, so it's last year, over about a year ago. So maybe the data is even harsher now. She mentioned that while house prices have risen by nearly 30% since 2019 in the United States, adjusted for inflation, and according to the National Association of Realtors, the US median existing single family home price hit a new high of $412,500 in 2024, which is 5 times that of the median household income. So it's overall an interesting article, and she shares some more interesting statistics. So, according to the report, 2024, the price to income ratio hit 5. And this is well above the pre-pandemic reading of 4.1. And in the 90s, the price to income ratios averaged just 3.2. So it's definitely clear and visible with the naked eye that houses are becoming more and more expensive, and income cannot keep pace. So I also found an interesting graph over 40 years, and the visual has a higher impact on house prices outpacing the income growth over the past 40 years. So you see the graph here, the typical alligator mouth, starting about mid 80s and then 90s, 2000, and the gap keeps on rising. So while the median income is gradually growing but at a much slower pace, the medium household income and the medium house price is up and up, and it gets worse every decade. So if we look at some key trends of data, the long-term stagnation. Since the 70s, pay for the vast majority of workers had lagged behind economic productivity. In more recent times, post 2020, post the pandemics, while wages have largely kept up with inflation, the inflation adjusted or the real wages have remained roughly flat, creating a feeling of continued stagnation despite some nominal pay gains. So let's say you get a 10% salary increase, but if the inflation is also 10%, then actually in real terms, you've got nothing. Your 10% increased salary can buy the same amount of products and services as the old one, before the inflation. So actually, in real terms, yeah, you gain nothing. Then the cost of necessities, so the cost of essential items such as housing, which we speak of, has far outpaced income growth, making it harder for median earners to maintain living standards. And of course, we have widening inequality. So, starting from the 80s to modern times to nowadays, productivity rose by roughly 73%, but middle class wages only grew about 23%, with the vast majority of gains obviously going to the top 100, top 1%. So, yeah, the old saying, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and the middle class keeps shrinking. So, the drivers of the wage cost gap. Um, First, we have lagging productivity gains. So, it's important to understand that while workers are producing more and better, that value is not being reflected in their paychecks. It's generally reflected in the profit margins of their employers. Then you have the rising cost of living, high inflation, particularly in housing, childcare increased cost, healthcare increased cost, even healthcare insurances is going up. So all of these have eaten away the disposable income. And then obviously you have the policy and structural changes, so to say. So the erosion of the unions influence some work sectors. Um, they brought a decline in the real value of the minimum wage. And while some of the years show some small nominal wage growth surpassing inflation, and that's another topic. It's actually the official communicated inflation, and uh, many of us, me included, don't actually think the officially communicated inflation rate is actually the one that you feel, because the official inflation rate is taking into account a large array of goods and services, which maybe you are consuming or not. So in general, um, statisticians tend to include, um, and especially if they are influenced by the political factor, they tend to include types of goods and services. While they're not very popular with consumers, they've raised less in price. So the overall picture, when you do the average, the median, it looks a bit better. So let's say you have a community where 90% of the people drink coffee and 10% of people drink tea, right? Then the statisticians would go about uh, putting together the coffee price and the tea price, but they don't go into the details. So they don't weight the coffee 9 times more than the tea. They just put it in the same weight. And then if the tea price just raised slower or less than the coffee, then the situation for, I don't know, non-alcoholic beverages or whatever they want to call it looks better than actually it is. And I'm mentioning coffee because coffee went a lot in price. And to be honest, I like coffee and tea not as much. So if we go a bit more into the detail, this gap between wages and the cost of living has fundamentally shifted how households function, and it changed everything from the savings rate to the age of retirement. And it is said that one of the major decisions in one's life is purchasing a house. Most of us purchase just a few houses, if lucky, during our lifetime. So it's a decision where you put a lot of thought into it and a lot of money into it. And a wrong decision in this area is definitely going to be costly. It's you're buying a house. It's not a car. It's not some let's say a vacation or okay it went bad. You can just recover it. A bad deal takes years and years and a heavy toll on your finances. So let me know your opinion, guys. And again, if you are new to the channel, please like the video and subscribe. And talk to you soon. Thank you. Goodbye.